We saw an awful act of violence on July 13th, and we know it was done because the political left is afraid of handing power over to the people they have condemned, ridiculed, jailed, and demonized for the past 8 years. They're fearful that what they've been doing to their political opposition will be done to them in return. Someone tried killing President Trump. They were unsuccessful in killing him, but they were successful in killing their own credibility and handing the presidency back over to Trump. They know Joe Biden can't legitimately win the 24 election, and after impeachments and indictments failed to stop President Trump, they resorted to their final tactic: death to the man that will save America from evil, communism, Marxism, and tyranny. We're going to talk about this and many other things on the show today with our very own Johnchiara. We also have a very special guest, rock star and patriot Tod Howarth, on the show today. But before we bring Tod on, I want you to see this clip of him with Ace Frehley.
Tod Howarth called Something Moved.
I love that song. I want to introduce you to the one and only Tod Howarth.
Thanks, Dan. John.
So great to have you here, Tod. I want people to know just how proud we are to have Tod on the show today. Tod, I've been following you for years, probably since that song came out. But for people who may not know you, can you give us like a quick bio and rundown of all the famous bands you've played with and, you know, musical success you've had?
Yeah, of course. Thank you. I'm glad to be here actually, but my musical success. Yeah, my father has a different term for it, but that's because he's only seen the tumultuous part of it. But in '79, late '79, I moved to LA to pursue my career. I'm down here in San Diego. And I had high aspirations because, that was the place to be, to make it back then. And I pounded the pavement for quite some time. And then I ended up joining a band called 707, who had a charting song called I Could Be Good For You. And we went out on tour with REO Speedwagon in the High Infidelity tour, which was a huge tour, the biggest tour I've done actually to date. And that went on for quite some time. The band, of course, eventually, unfortunately, fizzled. And then after I got out of that band, I joined Ted Nugent. I, along with Kevin Russell, sang backgrounds on the Penetrator album for Ted. Since we got to know him during the touring of the early 80s. And he had asked me later, hey, you want to come play keyboards and guitar for the tour in '84? I said, sure. So I did that for about 6 months, I believe, Europe and America and Canada. And it was phenomenal experience, of course. After that, I ended up joining Cheap Trick because I played with some guys that were in Cheap Trick and around the production team for Cheap Trick at the time. And I was with them from '85 to '86. And then after that, I joined Frehley's Comet in '87, January of '87 to '88. And after that, had some tumult as well. I ended up going back with Cheap Trick while doing some solo stuff in 1990 to '96. and I played with him on and off after that. But I've been pursuing my own solo stuff for quite some time, and I've been a candidate for a lot of other big bands. Hopefully, I'm not frozen there. That is a lovely picture of me. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, we lost you there for a second.
Okay, I'm not sure where you lost me, but I've had a lot of other opportunities and offers to play with some other bands, including the likes of REO Speedwagon, again, Aerosmith, Heart, and I also was going to go after a possibility with Velvet Revolver and even Van Halen, but obviously these things never come to pass.
Wow, I mean that's quite a career. I mean, and you know, when that Ace Frehley album came out, I was like, man, Ace has got this, because I didn't know who you were at the time. Ace Frehley's got this guy singing. I mean, this guy is freaking good, and I was so impressed. And I thought you were such an improvement, such a compliment to Ace, and you know, and also tribute to our friend John Regan. What a, you know, and it's so sorry to see him go, but yeah, what a great guy. And I got to meet him, and he was just such a great guy and such a cool bass player, man.
He was phenomenal. I mean, the reason I ended up with Frehley's Comet is because when I was touring with Cheap Trick, 85, 86, John Regan was playing bass for John Waite in the I Ain't Missing You at All tour, you know?
Yeah.
And of course, I love John Waite, and I used to watch the sound checks, and I just walked up to John one time afterwards, and I didn't know who he was. Said, hey, you know, I'm Tod Howarth, the keyboard player for Cheap Trick. I said, you guys are phenomenal sound checkers. And he goes, oh yeah, I've been watching you. You're singing and playing an awful lot up there. I said, yeah, that's what I do. Then we got to talking, but and which eventually led to me auditioning for Ace Frehley's band. But John was phenomenal bass player, solid, great producer, great man, very family oriented. Also a lot more conservative than people would think he would be, because he kept it quiet. He didn't want to do battle online because he had a temper, I guess, worse than mine. But he was smart about that with that regard, because he played with a lot of big people: Stones, Peter Frampton, David Lee Roth, Stephen Stills. I mean, the guy was just unbelievable in the studio when he would play track bass. Like, oh my God, it's like when Anton, John, and I would track in the first album, it was like Zeppelin. It's like, oh, this is unbelievable. That's now, how
people don't know you're talking about Anton Fig,
right,
who may have people may know him if they don't know him from bands. They may know him from that was David Letterman's band, correct?
Right. You get me?
Yep, I got you now. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's correct. He played with Ace in the first incarnation of Frehley's Comet with Arthur Stead on keyboards and the great Richie Scarlett on guitar and songwriting. What had happened is that John had the idea to consolidate. I believe John and others had the idea to consolidate the band down to 4-piece. And I was also, at that time, and I like to think still, a prolific songwriter. They could bang out the tunes, and I was a real lead singer as opposed to Ace's charismatic lead singing. So, and Ace didn't really want to sing all the stuff. He wanted to sing some songs, but he wanted to have a lead singer as well. So that's how that worked.
Yeah, and that was the great thing at that time. I think what you brought to that band with vocals and lead singer, I think as a lead singer, I think that was the best. But then, so I don't want to interrupt you too much, because then you end up going on to creating a band called 4x8. And if I remember right, my favorite song on that album was Moonshine. Is that the one?
Yeah, it's a great song. The band, we recorded 6 tracks before we lost AJ Perro of Twitz's sister on drums. And we had 2 of the players, Stet Howland, that was supposed to, from WOS, drummer, who was supposed to track, and he had a car accident, and I couldn't do the tracking. And within a couple of days, we're supposed to, we got a time allotted, and then we had Sean Kelly from Crash Kelly out of Canada, a great guitar player, who eventually bowed out of the banks. They thought it was too heavy. Great guy, but he thought it was too heavy. So we got Pat Gasparini in there, who had John track one of his songs about the same time we were putting this band together. And John brought one of the songs to me. He said, listen to this guy. It's amazing. So we got Pat Gasparini into the band, and he's even more of a prolific songwriter, and he wrote Moonshine, which is a phenomenal song.
Great song. Absolutely loved it. And I got to meet all the guys at the Chance in Poughkeepsie, I don't know, a few years back. Anyway.
Right.
That it's just, what a great career, man. You should be so proud of yourself for I mean, all the stuff you've done, the songwriting, not to mention the bands you played with, the people you've met. I mean, you know, and which brings me to the topic that I wanted to kind of discuss, is that typically people from California in the music world, in the movie business, they're not very conservative. They usually fall on the liberal side of the spectrum. But we are so lucky to have rock stars like you, Ted Nugent, Kid Rock. You know, there's all these guys who are actually very conservative. So, and the Trump shirt too. I mean, we got to see the Trump shirt. That's a 3%er Trump shirt. That is the best. That is awesome. So, but yeah, no, it's so great that, you know, rock stars that I admired and are supporting the cause, the American cause. So hats off to you.